The final whistle has blown, indeed. 6 minutes added on time played. West Ham United 3, Sheffield United 0. The Hammers scoring in the 41st minute. Declan Rice opening the scoring from the penalty spot. West Ham's first penalty kick of the, well, shouldn't have been, but it was. We'll come back to that in a minute. West Ham's first penalty kick of the season. Issa Diop doubling West Ham's lead in the 58th minute before. As we just said, Ryan Fredericks coming on in the 92nd minute and in the 96th minute, making it 3-0 to cap what has been a pretty decent performance by the Hammers. Yet one in which David Moyes' side would never really put under any pressure at all. And Sheffield United hurtling towards that trapdoor, it would seem. Of course, the Hammers would have had a penalty in the 5th minute as well, had VAR not decreed that Craig Dawson was offside in a review of the incident. Gnome, let's come to you first. West Ham 3, Sheffield 0. The Hammers up to 4th in the Premier League. Sheffield United almost certainly on their way back to the Championship. Couldn't have asked for any more tonight, could we?
Nah, 3-0. I like that score. I like that score against them. Another nail in their coffin. I'm not going to go into a long rant like Pinky, but you know, I agree with the sentiment. And 42 points, which I make us safe from relegation. Probably. I'd like one more to be sure, but doesn't that league table look nice on the screen there? Who's that below us? Oh, Liverpool. All right, yeah. As I say, it wasn't a stunning performance, but it was thoroughly professional.
Yeah.
You know, it was. We had our feet up for most of it, safe in the knowledge that they weren't going to do us any harm. And yeah, I'm happy with that. 3 points, 3 goals. What's not to like?
Very much, very much. Short and sweet from Gnome. Rio, I take it you've had the opportunity to see Ryan Fredericks' goal at West Ham's 3rd now. And what's your immediate assessment of what you've seen out there tonight?
Yeah, I've just seen it. I thought it was a really tidy finish, really, from the fullback. So I'm absolutely delighted for him. Overall, we didn't have to get out of second gear. For a game against a team that really absolutely detests us and normally makes things incredibly hard and difficult, it was a bit easy, wasn't it? You know?
Yeah.
And a couple of moments where we had a little couple of doubts, but as I said, start of the second half as per usual, a couple of minutes spell in the first half. Apart from that, it was never in doubt. And as I said, what with the rejig side, players coming in, we've lost Antonio Ogbonna through injury, who are massive players for us. It was comfortable, and it's very rarely you can say that about West Ham side. We was incredibly comfortable from the word go, and what with our forward deficiencies, I thought we'd make heavy weather of this, but no, simple as. I hope every single game when we play them, probably in the cups in the future, because they're never coming back, hopefully, is that easy.
Yeah, very much so. I'm just checking the stats actually for Ryan Fredericks. I thought it might be his first West Ham goal, but apparently it's his 3rd goal for the Hammers.
He scored before,
scored previously in the 8-0 humiliation of Macclesfield back in September 2018, and right at the end of that season, he scored in the 3-0 win against. Can anyone remember? May 2019. Southampton. We beat Southampton 3-0. Final home game of the season. Arnautovic scoring twice and Fredericks scoring his first league goal for the club right at the end. But anyway, we digress. Pinky, West Ham United 3. THREE 3. Sheffield United NILZERO. Nothing niche. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely, and you know, the best bit is they've known they've been down since before Christmas Day. You know, I mean, they've had the depression of having to endure almost an entire season of mediocrity, poor football, and the sure knowledge that not even a dodgy lawsuit or threat of one can get them out of this particular hole. And, you know, even as we speak, their lawyers are probably scouring the Premier League for a willing victim that they can phone up and say, look, if you don't give us 30 million quid, we might take you to court. Something like that, yeah. And well, it worked once, so you couldn't blame them for trying a second time. But you know, I mean, on the football front, I mean, just interesting reading through their fans forum.
Yeah,
Seemingly they have spent quite a bit of money, you know, just in the wrong areas. They bought, what they have bought is of little or no quality. They offered nothing tonight. I mean, I think we probably made them look better than they were, if I'm being honest. I don't think we were anywhere near our best this evening. I think, you know, the number of free headers they had in our box was a bit of concern to me, being serious for a moment. And I think that just illustrates how much we miss Angelo Ogbonna. Better teams than Sheffield United would punish us given those opportunities. Of that, I'm absolutely certain.
yeah.
But, you know, you can only beat what's in front of you. And this evening, what was in front of us was a championship standard team that know they're beaten, know they're going down, and we'll look forward to seeing a half-empty Bramall Lane next season when we're watching championship football on Saturday afternoons or whatever we're all doing. You know, tonight we did enough. We could have done more. Lingard, clearly for my money, the man of the match. Johnson played very well, did decent enough. My main concern, even though he got the goal, would be Issa Diop as a centre-back. I'll make no secret of it. I don't rate him. I think his decision-making is poor. I think he's one of the reasons we suddenly struggle in the back line. And I think we need to get Ogbonna back on the pitch, PDQ, because looking at some of the games coming up, very winnable game next up, I think it's Tottenham Hotspur, the way they're imploding. I think of our next 4 games, that's probably the easiest. You've then got Man City to follow, dirty Leeds after them, and maybe another winnable game at Manchester United. But, you know, 4 fixtures that are certainly slightly tougher than Sheffield United. And we need to be better at the back than we were tonight. So we did enough, but don't think it was a good performance, because it wasn't as a team.
Another stat for you before we carry on. Since the turn of the year, West Ham have won 19 points in the Premier League. Played 8, won 6, drawn 1, lost 1. Only Manchester City, with a colossal 27 points, have accumulated more in the competition in this current calendar year. So a measure of just how well West Ham are doing right now. A quick look at the live Premier League table is great viewing if you're a Hammers fan tonight. Man City top of the pile with 53 points from 23 outings. Manchester United, their great rival, second, some 7 points behind with 46 from 24. Leicester also with 46 from 24. And then it's West Ham United with 42 points from 24 games. And what's interesting, actually, is if you look at the table, Liverpool 5th with 40 from 24. And, of course, Chelsea, if they beat Newcastle, can go above West Ham tonight. It's currently 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, just a few minutes into the game. But what's interesting now, I think, is the gap that's beginning to emerge there. I mean, West Ham now 5 points clear of Everton, who, of course, do have 2 games in hand. But you look at Arsenal, West Ham, West Ham are now 8 points clear of Arsenal. I mean, when was the last time that happened at this stage of the season?
It's not in living memory that I'm having to go back a long, long way. Probably 85, 86 is the first one that stands out.
Yeah.
My only disappointment about that is that we're not further in front of them, because I keep saying it every year, it is the worst Arsenal side in living memory. Mm-hmm. And for the last 5 years, they've declined even further. And we really should be 25 points in front of them lot. They're absolute garbage. Held myself back there. They are garbage.
Very much so. But no, that record I just read out there, West Ham 19 points from 8 games so far in 2021, discounting the cup games. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, isn't it, so far?
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Sorry, I was about to go. I was about to mute myself there because Declan Rice has come on, but he's just saying the usual things. You know, we need to push ourselves week in, week out. We need to look forward. We need to look to where we were last season. So there's a bit of pressure amongst the lads and manager to push us forward. Tonight was a massive 3 points. So it's been pointed out. Here's a stat for you. It's taken over 2,000 hours for us to get a penalty.
Wow.
That's what they said there. I haven't added that up. That may be a
2,000.
Well, that's what it just came up on the teletext subtitle type thing. I think that might be 200 or whatever, but
that's like 4 years worth of games, isn't it, or something like that?
It feels like 2,000, yeah. So
that's entirely accurate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm saying I'm obviously watching this on subtitles to avoid the sound clash. So
yeah, maybe 200. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
But,
it's definitely, as you said, it certainly feels like that, Gnome, doesn't it? It's an awful long time since we had a spot kick, and then of course 2 turn up in the same game, and unfortunately only 1 counted. But yeah, I mean we're forgetting the fact that we had one after 5 minutes, of course.
Yeah, marginally offside, but I was so shocked because I thought, well, that's a penalty, surely, and I went. It just silenced me, and then it was given, and I was, it is. I've just got to say, I don't bother to appeal for him, you know.
Yeah. No, sorry. Coming back to man of the match, I asked Pinky right at the end of the game who he fancied. And he said he felt Lingard was West Ham's standout performer today. Would you go along with that, or do you have someone else in mind?
No, I'll go along with it. Like I said earlier on when you asked me. Pay attention,
did I ask you? I do apologise.
Yeah.
Did I ask you? I know we were talking about Lingard. I don't remember specifically asking you if he was your favourite, but if I did, I do apologise.
I said that I disagreed with Pinky because I thought it was good in both halves. And
yeah, I heard that.
So, yeah. So definitely Lingard anyway. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good stuff. So Rio, are we going to make it a 3 out of 3 for Lingard?
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought his intelligence, his running, his energy, his work rate, he's got that little bit of quality about him. I didn't want him here, to be honest. I've never been convinced by him. But I think it's 2 out of the 4 games he's played in, 2 out of 3 games he's played. He's excelled. He's looked like an absolute class above. Yeah. And that's the reason why he's played so long for Manchester United and why he's got 20-odd England caps. You know, he's looking like a class above anything else we have in our midfield at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's a mark of quality, and he could be the one who pushes onto that, into a little bit further up the table. Just like point out this little fact from Danny Dissect on the forum.
Yep.
We've got 28 points from 12 games against the bottom half of the league, which normally we struggle with that. We can take points off the top teams normally, but when it comes to what were our contemporaries and the teams who we were expected to beat, we often struggle and make hard work of it. So that stat, for me, is really, really promising. And it's a mark of what Moyes is doing to this side.
So what's that? 9 wins, a draw and 2 defeats, I take it?
I presume so, yeah. He's just got 28 from 12. So, although I don't think we've actually lost to a bottom half team yet. I'll have to do a bit of research on that.
Do Arsenal count? Were they bottom half when that? I don't know how he's working that out. Whether Arsenal were in the bottom half when we were beaten there, I don't know. But I mean, either way, it's an incredible achievement. And this sort of brings me on to something I wanted to say because we're filling you with stats tonight. But another one for you. After 24 games this season, West Ham have 42 points on the board, 3 more than in the whole of last season. And actually, if you look at the top 5, if you were just taking points in the Premier League for 2021, I mentioned that Man City had 27 so far, West Ham 19. 3rd, 4th and 5th, you've got Leicester with 17, Manchester United with 16, and Arsenal, actually, funny enough, 5th with 14. But it just goes to show what an incredible, achievement this is by the Hammers so far. And Pinky, the turnaround that David Moyes has brought to this club, it'll probably go unnoticed because it's only West Ham going from sort of 15th, 16th, whatever to 4th in the table. But it's, you know, it's more than just about points on the board, isn't it? It's a whole new philosophy he's brought into the club. People are buying into it, and whatever he and his backroom staff, and let's not forget the efforts of Irving and Nolan and Pierce, etc. I mean, they're performing mini miracles, aren't they, so far?
It is about a lot more than just the points. I was just thinking there when Declan Rice was giving the post-match interview. There we've got the on-field captain for West Ham United this evening, smiling, joking, very happy. There seems to be a tremendous team spirit in the squad. And maybe one of the secrets of our success this year has been with a relatively small, recognisable first-team squad.
Yeah.
Actually, most of them are getting pitch time most of the time. Either starting or coming on as a substitute. And they always say, it's hard to keep players happy if they're not playing. And sometimes a bigger squad, creates its own problems in itself. So maybe, David Sullivan has hit upon the magic formula of having a happy squad is just give the manager fewer players inadvertently, almost like, a footballing equivalent of the producers, whereby he plans to actually make a mess of everything, but it becomes an incredible success. And I just wonder if having that slightly smaller but always featuring the squad, really helped us. Because the turnaround has been remarkable. Most weeks were quite good in transition. I don't think we were tonight. I thought we were a little bit stodgy. And dare I say it, one of the downsides in having a player like Lingard is because he can make things happen himself. He probably hangs onto the ball a bit longer than what we've seen. But what a luxury for David Moyes to have Ben Rama to come off the bench. Which to be fair to Sheffield United, they'd have loved to have had that luxury this evening. But he's earned the right to that luxury, because where he has spent money himself in Soufal, in Souček, in Bowen, he's done well. Those players have not let him down at all. They've generally put in very good performances. He's managing to get a little bit of a tune out of Ryan Fredericks. Where it started the other week when he played him against, I think, Aston Villa it was, and we're doubling up on Grealish and so forth. So, classic management, the definition is achieving results through others. He's got a small squad that is, as a squad, is punching above its weight. There's no question about that. Look at the teams around us. Man City with their untold millions. Manchester United, ditto. Leicester City with the bounty of recent years in the Champions League. Liverpool, last season's champions and one of the richest clubs in the world. Chelsea, bankrolled by a Russian billionaire. Everton, who have spent money like drunken sailors in the last 2 or 3 years. With absolutely, and Tottenham Hotspur. I'm having a look down the league table now.
Yeah, remember them.
I sort of like give a caning to. Dare I say caning? The Harry Kane team, as they're called, Tottenham Hotspur.
Kind, yeah.
And look at that. They're drifting to mid-table. Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, 10th spot. With what, £70 million strikers and things like that.
Yeah.
So has David Moyes done a good job? You'd have to say he has. You'd have to, wouldn't you? And dare I say it, the silence from the chairman is both deafening and welcome. We've barely heard a peep out of David Sullivan for a little while, and long may that continue.
Yeah, I think David Gold has been taking to Twitter occasionally recently and still managing to wind people up, hasn't he? By bringing out tweets from last year, rocking the boat when it's completely unnecessary and not needed.
To be fair, when I'm 84, if I've got that much attitude, you'll all be hearing it. You know what I mean? At 84, you can get away with it,
Well, you've got another 50 or so years to wait until we get to that point, Pinky. So it's a long time away yet. The plaudits for David Moyes' team just keep coming. Jonathan Northcroft, the Sunday Times football correspondent, writes tonight that in a season where consistently hitting your best level is almost impossible, 2 teams have achieved it: Manchester City and West Ham United. Incredible work by David Moyes and his players. Gnome, were you on an interview there? Was there? You
Yes.
were on mute. Who did we have?
Yeah, I was on mute because we heard from David Moyes.
Okay, great stuff. What did the boss have to say?
Firstly, he said, Sheffield United played well and they did create chances, but we defended well, and we were creating chances to our own and took them. Mentioning the fact that we were without Antonio, it was a case of when injuries have happened, we've had to find ways of dealing with them. He was pleased with Bowen's contribution, and he said one of the things he's liked about the squad is that when players have come in because of injuries over the season, they have made an impact. Johnson was praised as well, and Diop again, who said who hadn't been playing much lately, but he's come up and had a good game today. Usual little wry grin. He said when he was asked about the fact that we got 39 points last season, we're on 42 now. What do you think of that? And he said, well, my first thought is that us safe yet? And only half joking, of course, but he said, usually you think of 40. He said, this season I just had an awful feeling there might be a few more that were needed. But again, he said, look, we're not getting carried away. We can play better than that. And I want to see, he said, players have been improving. I want to see that improvement continuing. And, he said the main thing, he said, is looking long term. I think we're laying foundations to produce a string of teams going forward year on year. Okay. And so we don't want it to be just this season, is the gist of what he was saying. So, very, very happy. Clearly would like a few of the injuries to heal up sooner rather than later. But
any word on those, Gnome?
No, didn't make any comment. He wasn't asked. He commented that the players that were out are very important to us. Yeah. But was saying, well, if you've got to find a way around it, then getting onto that point, I thought that worked quite well in a way today. The sort of the false 9 thing, because it wasn't just Bowen playing furthest forward. It was they would rotate it a bit, and sometimes I know he kept coming from deep and was doing that really well, but sometimes you'd find Lingard was the furthest up, or of that front 3. So.
Which makes it incredibly difficult, of course, to defend against. I mean, if you're playing against a traditional striker, it's a lot easier to pick your man up when it's flexible like that. It's incredibly difficult whether you're playing 2, 3, 4, or 5 at the back, really.
And you've got how can I put this politely? It's an uncomplicated defence, shall we say, Sheffield United. Not exactly sort of blessed with footballing intelligence. Just looking at the way they played tonight, it's they're more your sort of traditional players at the back, and you ask any, you were a defender, and from what I saw anyway, and you'd rather have some big lumbering ox to mark than somebody who's a little bit tricky, a little bit cleverer, and knew what they were doing. I mean, conversely, I was a forward, and I used to love playing against defenders like Sheffield United, like that, because you always had something on them. Whereas a clever, intelligent footballing centre half or central defender, it was always a tougher game. So, so when you had that, you got we had Lanzini, we had Lingard, and you had Bowen. neither of whom are particularly tall. I've got a photo of Lanzini next to Jeff, and it was like a school kid next to Jeff, and my little brother ain't all that tall. You know, when you've got those where they're tricky, their movements constant, and you never know which one you've got to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Then that's the sort of defence that's going to work against.
Okay. Good stuff. Another. They're all leaping to praise West Ham tonight, or the celebrities and former stars. Another East End legend of a different persuasion completely, Billy Bragg, who I must confess I don't see him post that often on Football Matters, but even the Bard of Barking is posting tonight that says, amazing though it is that the Hammers are fourth in the Premiership. It's the Premier League now, Bill. It hasn't been the Premiership for about 14 years. But anyway, it's the fact that we now have more than 40 points, making us safe from relegation, that's got me celebrating tonight. No nail-biting finish this year. Come on, you Irons. So there it is. Even the great, as I say, the Bard of Barking, Billy Bragg, celebrating another great Hammers performance. Rio, I want to go back briefly to something that Pinky pointed out a little while ago, which is a really interesting point, I felt. Now, you and I will remember many, many years ago that Liverpool famously won the league championship with a squad of only 14 first-team players. And Pinky mentioned that perhaps that small squad is helping West Ham, the fact that we haven't got a plethora of options, sort of 4 or 5 different striking options, and Rice and Souček haven't really got much of a backup. What do you make of that? Do you go along with that? Do you think there's something in that the fact that everyone's getting an opportunity to play is helping the squad bond and gel?
Certainly off the pitch. I mean, I think the smaller nucleus of players you have got in and around the first team squad, you develop that trust, don't you? You develop that camaraderie. You're all in it together. And particularly when we're battling against the odds of not being funded to the extent that we should be by our chairman, You've got no disruptive influences coming from outside. That's another thing I mentioned about Lingard when we first signed him on loan. He's had his personal issues up in Manchester.
Yeah.
And I thought, will he come in? Will those come to the fore? Will he disrupt our unit as it was? But he looks pretty well integrated. I mean, there was that little discussion over the penalty earlier on, but the first person who went up and congratulated Declan after he scored it was Jesse Lingard.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely a small, tight-knit unit as a squad, I think can only be a good thing. I mean, we saw it 85, 86. We didn't use a whole lot of players, but I think that was 15, 16 tops.
Yep.
And look how well we did there. We just need the augmentation in the summer. We know we could do with another forward or two at the moment, but we're making do. The players who've been asked to play in different positions, as we saw tonight, there was a rotating plethora of Lanzini, Bowen and Lingard, all doing that kind of the central role at times and dropping into space and running in behind defences.
Yeah.
So we're doing well. We're making do what we've got, and we're exploiting their talents to the best of our ability with such a tight squad. And I think it's not only the small amount of players that's doing their favour. I think the fact that we've got a really good coaching set up, and they've obviously instilled not only a fitness regime, which has seen us take on new levels compared to what we were 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we was probably the unfittest side in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they've got that unity. They're installing the belief without excelling expectations from anybody. They're playing us down, but they know what we're capable of, what we can springboard to in the future. So having this tight-knit squad, a coaching staff who's proven themselves to be one of probably the biggest assets we've got, it all bodes well, doesn't it? And it's just where we springboard from in the summer, and where the way our ownership sees us progressing in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rio. Just a quick word from Stamford Bridge. It's currently Chelsea 0, Newcastle United 0. 25 minutes gone. Chelsea have, however, lost Tammy Abrahams to injury, being replaced after about 20 minutes. I think Gnome's got Chris Wilder on the goggle box. Maybe now is it?
Yeah,
Wilder? Okay.
Yeah, he's the air of a haunted man. He said people will probably think I'm crackers, but I thought we could get a result here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm smiling. But he used the phrase "architects of their own downfall" quite a lot.
Nice.
Something that I noticed, and something that you get with a relegated team, is that when they did have the ball in good positions, something I noticed during the game, particularly second half, there was always an extra touch. Nobody wanted to, hit a ball first time. There was one shot they had which went way over and wide. The first time shot would have been the way to go for that. And every time there was one extra pass, one extra, sort of touch of the ball that, and he was bemoaning that fact that they weren't playing with the freedom to do that sort of thing. And he said, obviously, West Ham, they've got a quality bunch of players there. They'll punish you if you don't do, you don't put away what chances you get. And no complaints on the penalty. He didn't go into specifics about the lad Egan, but he said it doesn't look too good. Obviously, he came off on the stretcher. He's on crutches at the moment.
Right.
Any
word as to what the specific injury was there?
No. If I were a betting man, like Pinky mentioned, I'd say possibly Achilles. It's something you can diagnose on the spot. What happens is the back of your calf, there's a dip, goes in where your Achilles is broken, and it's like somebody scooped a chunk out of your leg, sort of thing. But not mine though, because mine's now held together with Kevlar and some other stuff they used on the space shuttle or something. But I'm the £6.50 man.
There you go. Cheap at half the price.
Yeah,
but
£8,000. £8,000 that lot cost Bupa.
Outrageous. Well, as long as it's not costing us, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Just I want to come on to actually sort of ties in with what Gnome was saying there. Actually, Pinky, I want to talk a bit now about our defence, because Soufal, magnificent. Aaron Cresswell, completely rejuvenated. Written off at the start of the season, been fantastic. Craig Dawson, just absolutely unbelievable. I don't think anyone could have possibly predicted what would happen there. We were all, I think we're all happy to admit we were quite wrong about that particular signing. Coming into the team tonight, and I know you're not his greatest fan, Issa Diop. How did you think he did tonight, and how did you think the defence fared overall? Because we did have that sort of little sticky spell, didn't we, at the start of the second half? I think it was McGoldrick who got between the two defenders, had the free header, should have done better when it was 1-0, I think, at the time. Could have changed the complexion of the game. But yeah, what's your overall view on West Ham from a defensive aspect tonight?
I thought we were poor. Two things. Firstly, if you stop the cross coming in, then there's no header to defend, and we didn't stop enough crosses coming in tonight, in my view. Yeah. So that's a problem at either full back or people not tracking runners generally. And I always think that the centre backs, it's about pairings. Always has been, always will be. And I think when we've looked rock solid this season, it's been the pairing of Ogbonna and Dawson. I think they've built up a good relationship between the pair of them, and it works. Tonight we've seen Diop start again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm harsh on him because we paid top dollar for Issa Diop, and for that money you expect something approaching the finished article, not a work in progress and not an apprentice. But that's exactly what we've got. We've got an apprentice, really, for 22 million. If I could see a way forward for him at our club, I think, well, okay, yeah, maybe there's some long-term planning there. But what's really done it for Issa Diop is the contrast with Craig Dawson, who for 2 pickled eggs and a bag of crisps, joined us from Watford. You know, the fag end of a fairly decent but ordinary footballing career. I mean, I saw an interview this week with somebody that, you know, describes his early days at Rochdale and all the rest of it. And I think he used to play for a club where Bernard Manning was the chairman. Yeah, I kid you not. And you know, the most quoted comment in the whole article was Craig was as tight as anything. You know, he'd wash his own car rather than get the kids to wash it in the car wash, that sort of thing. You know, so like a real sort of like Yorkshire sort of attitude to his finances. But I just feel that Diop, the contrast with Dawson is such that if you're a football manager, you're looking, what do you want your centre backs to do? Yes, scoring goals at one end is nice, but actually you want to stop them going in at your end. That's the real job. That's the real job. And I just think we look better with an Ogbonna Dawson pairing than we do with a Diop and anyone pairing. And I've been saying it since the summer. He's a player that I would trade, that's for sure. But the problem being, of course, Ogbonna is 33. Dawson isn't our player, and he won't be cheap when we go to buy him now, because you know Watford will just say, 31-year-old Craig Dawson, £20 million, please. Whereas if we'd offered them £5 million last summer, we'd have him on a 3 or 4 year contract now. And again, this is another one where borrowing a player doesn't always bear dividends. So defensively, I don't think we were good tonight. I actually don't think we were good full stop tonight. You know, and you say, bloody hell, we've won 3-0 and I'm not happy. Well, yeah, we've beaten a relegated team 3-0. And no, I'm not happy. I don't think we were all that tonight. And I think better teams would not have presented us with 3 points this evening. And over the next month, we are going to be playing better teams than Sheffield United. And we're going to be playing them without Issa Diop. That's for sure. Yeah. We're likely to be playing 1 or 2 of them without Mikel Antonio. Yeah. So there are certain cracks in our squad that the manager's done brilliantly to paper over, but you can't actually fool everyone forever. And, you know, we might just be have seen peak West Ham this evening, you know, in terms of league performance, which would be a great shame. But, you know, 4 games coming up, how many points are we really going to get from them? And I think there's no chance of that defensive lineup this evening keeping clean sheets against Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, Manchester City, or even Leeds United. You know, we're going to see goals if we defend like that.
Well, we'll come to that in just a minute. Before we wrap up, we'll look ahead to the forthcoming games. Interestingly, you mentioned Bernard Manning there, and I think it was actually Bernard Manning who brought Dawson to Rochdale in the first place. There's an article on the Athletic this week where Craig was talking to Adam Leventhal, and he said that Bernard actually came into the pub one night and asked him, why don't you come and train with my team? And that's how his professional career began at Rochdale. So there you go. Bernard Manning.
I've just got this view of a Bernard Manning side taking the knee before the game and just wondering how that would pan out. But,
yes.
Just the machines aside of yeah.
Well, you're not suggesting they'd have gone full Brentford, would you? You know,
yeah, I would say Brentford have decided to stop doing it, haven't they? So
yeah.
No doubt others.
And I think we'll see a few more teams issuing similar statements in the coming weeks. So yeah, interesting development that coming from West London, that's for sure.
I'm just glad when I was playing that they didn't have this sort of thing, because I'd never been able to get back up again. So, the game would be going on. I guess a hand is somewhere.
Yes, was injured taking the knee. Yes.
Yeah, that would be a new one, wouldn't it?
That would be Wilshere, wouldn't it? Or,
Well, you can guarantee it'll be one West Ham player, wouldn't you?
yeah.
Experiencing that one. But
And-
news.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say news coming in from West London. West Ham were fourth in the Premier League's live table last we spoke, but unfortunately that only lasted for about 20 minutes this evening because in the live league table, Chelsea have now gone above West Ham because they lead Newcastle 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Of course, that can all change, and there's plenty of time left. But yeah, as it stands in the live league table, West Ham back down to fifth place in the Premier League, still above Liverpool, still above Arsenal and Tottenham and all those other Everton, and all those other clubs that traditionally challenge for the top four. Gnome, the defence. Pinky's just spoken very eloquently about Issa Diop and Craig Dawson and the rest, and saying he didn't feel we defended particularly well tonight, but we didn't really need to, did we? But you sort of, are you kind of worried if Angelo Ogbonna doesn't come back that there could be trouble ahead, as the song says?
I think we've got another. It's been suggested a month was the last I saw, but I'm busy working today, so I haven't been maybe as up to date or on top of that as I might otherwise have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd certainly want him back sooner rather than later. I think saying defence didn't play well is slightly over-egging it a little bit. They did as well as they had to. There were a number of occasions where the much maligned Diop, I thought, did very well. A couple of occasions where they tried to play it quickly, and where Diop started off the wrong side and got himself the right side.
Yeah,
and blocked off. He did it a couple of times with Sharp. You thought, oh, Sharp's got a yard on him here, and suddenly Diop's got himself between Sharp and the ball. And Sharp ends up kicking him up in the air, and free kick was well done there. So, but yeah, I mean, I can see we'd have to stop those crosses coming in against sort of better teams of Sheffield United, of which there are many, at least 19. So, I think that's gone in. That's Chelsea 2, Newcastle 0 now. As we speak, Giroud got the first. I think Werner's actually got one. He should have put them 2 up a few minutes ago. I think it was over the first time. The keeper tried to scramble it back, but when it came out, it went back in. So, I think I'll see us. I think we're gonna end up fully in fifth tonight. It's well over. The cleanest of finishes,
but what about Craig Dawson? Let's talk a bit about Dawson. He's a biggest surprise of the season. Surely it must be. Is Dawson's performances.
Very much so. It makes you wonder sort of what was happening in terms of how things were looking in training, because I can't remember what game it was now, but he suddenly turned up, didn't he? So we'd had him all season, and we'd all just thought, well, his hair is back up for. You've got Ogbonna, you've got Balbuena, you've got Diop, and Cresswell playing in the middle of on the left of a three, perhaps. And we said something along the lines of, I said it's the lesser spotted Craig Dawson, and I think it was the Southampton game. Was it his first one?
Yes, may well have been. Yeah,
because he nearly removed somebody's head, didn't he? in it. Which was, but apart from that one sort of thing where head ball, easy mistake to make. We thought we had a good game there, and then it's just got better and better. I think it got to the stage. There was one half of the game, again I can't remember which one, where I noted that he was having a bit of a poor one. He wasn't controlling it well. It was bouncing off him. And thought, what's happening now? Is this a sort of a revert to type moment? But he came out second half and had a stormer. So he obviously realised he hadn't been at his best and sort of like slaps himself around the face and concentrate, mate, and he did. Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic signing.
Do you agree? Do you agree with Don Hutchison that he's one of the signings of the season? Full stop.
Yeah,
in terms of value, anyway.
Yeah, in terms of value, yeah. Well, as I say, in terms of anything, I'm given to believe that, notwithstanding Pinky's sort of joking, Watford want 20 million for him line, I understand it would be more akin to 4 if we want him at the end of the season. And whether or not that's part of the deal, I don't know. But just stuff you pick up here and there suggests that £4 million fee would be sort of due. So we wait and see how true that is. But for £4 million, I mean, I suddenly feel very old at this point because I'm thinking, we're bandying around figures like 4 million, like it's nothing, which in relative terms it isn't. It's still £4 million when you think about it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you
tell you have 4 million, you wouldn't say, oh, it's not 20.
But I mean, if you look at the whole of that defence tonight, I mean, you've got Aaron Cresswell, who cost what, 3 or 4 million from the Championship. You've got Ogbonna, who was what, 8 million. Dawson, a loanee. Soufal, 5 million. I mean, David Sullivan's a genius, isn't he? Picking these players out of nowhere.
It's been called a lot of things. Genius hasn't been sort of. That's
a devil's advocate hat, by the way. Before you start.
I can see that. I don't know who's been available for that. I'd be somebody wants to prove me wrong, but I'd say that that the person who went out and looked at Souček and looked at Soufal wasn't David Sullivan, and you've had to leave Essex for a kickoff. I no doubt he'd be happy to take the credit for it, but there's been a good shot. If he is going to take the credit for him, he's also got to be held responsible for some of the complete turkeys that we've had since he's arrived. And I mean, there's that article did the rounds a few weeks back about, was it 50 strikers or something at West Ham?
Yeah, but see, I mean, I've seen that, but most of those players were punts who never got out of the academy team or were only ever reserve players like Brian Montenegro. So
yeah,
I kind of
I saw him play against Sheffield Wednesday. So let's not mock Brian Montenegro. Yeah,
but a lot of them weren't. A lot of them were players who were supposedly first team ready. Okay, every 50, but a lot of them weren't. It just getting me back to the days when, it just getting me back to the days when we had Pardew and Grant there. And do you remember they took a punt on a Czech guy, Michelanda?
Yes,
Michelanda. Yeah. The most telling thing that was ever said about him was that we were at some fans forum or whatever it was, and Pardew and Grant were there. And somebody asked about Michelanda because nobody had heard of him, and they'd seen him on pre-season tour and signed him up on the street for that. And Pardew had said, "Well, he's young, he's raw, but there's a lot of potential, and he's young and he's keen." And Peter Grant chipped in, "He's cheap," and you suddenly thought, I think that's probably the phrase that paid when it came to that signing. And you got the impression with a lot of that. Okay, 50 maybe. A lot of those were fringe, but a lot of them were, they were doing
some players like that, and there was a lot of cheap punts for sure. Rio, did you want to comment on that? Sorry, you were waiting to come in there.
Sorry,
the old 50 striker thing. I think that was the last count. I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago. So we're probably up to about 60 now. But also, look how many we've got on the books at the moment. And over the space of 10 years of the GSB reign, we've gone through 6 a season, and we're left with none. So That's the most telling stat for me. You can say most of them were punts and they weren't there like seriously. You can't really count them, but Dawson's a punt. We're counting him, aren't we? So every one of them strikers we've had, and I'm sure it's up to around about the 60 mark now, was a viable candidate to be a first team player in some respects.
Yeah,
there was booked to be part of our squad, part of our first team, in and around that. Maybe not the starting 11. There was all bought to do a job. The fact that 59 of them haven't come off, that's irrelevant.
Yeah, we've definitely had some massive punts at the club over the years. That's for sure. In recent years, Rio, I just quickly. Let's wrap up this defensive debate. What did you make of Diop's performance tonight? Obviously, he's as I said, he's got big shoes to fill with Angelo Ogbonna, as Gnome rightly pointed out. Sideline, we expect for another 3 or 4 weeks. Do you think Diop's capable of stepping in and solving that conundrum for Moyes?
Yeah, I've defended him. We saw that first season how good he can be. He's lost his way completely. Tonight would have done him a world of good. He started off particularly shaky, but he grew into the game. He got better and better. He notched the goal, which would have done his confidence the world of good. Yeah. He's got a very experienced centre-half partner next to him, who hopefully will be able to talk him through, guide him through games now. Because I think Balbuena did that in the first season. He was naturally right-sided. Issa was naturally left-sided. And as a partnership, they work really well. And Balbuena, being the more experienced of the two, managed to guide him through games. And we looked pretty solid that first season. God knows what's gone on with him. But hopefully Craig Dawson can get in his ear, talk him through games, cajole him, guide him. And with the defensive now on the bench in terms of our coaching staff, you'd hope Stuart Pearce would be able to enforce those kind of the resolution needed and the mentality needed. Moyes himself, it's going to be a tough ask. We've got a high caliber of forward we're coming up in the next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
There's no one better to do it at the moment on the books.
Apologies, Rio. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. It was Pinky nodding his, shaking his head most aggressively next to me that had me chuckling when you were talking about the potential for Diop stepping up. Pinky, you're still not having it then?
I mean, for any youngsters watching, what you've just heard are the ramblings of a madman that has avocado for breakfast. Okay. utter nonsense. Talk about the triumph of hope over experience. You have just heard it. My breakfast: Mars bars, kebabs. Last night's curry. Bits of KFC. That's a proper breakfast. And when you have a proper breakfast, you know that the standard was the great Alvin Martin. So when you're judging centre backs, in your mind's eye, that's the player you're looking at. Tell me when Issa Diop is ever going to be within a country mile of that standard. And the answer is he isn't. And it doesn't matter how much we want him to be of that standard. It's not going to happen for him. And sometimes I just feel as supporters, we are far too generous to players that we either paid a fee for or who are quite young, who we think, he's going to do it. I just don't think he is. And Rio, one of us will be right and one of us will be wrong. Yeah. But you have avocado for breakfast, my friend. And I know which way Paddy Power's going to be paying out. And it ain't on you being right on this one. Okay. Diop ain't making it. And I'm sorry for the young man. He got the goal tonight. I'm very pleased for that.
Yeah.
Decision making isn't good enough for a defender in this division. And for my money, trade him.
Yeah, I completely get that, and I agree more or less 100%. I get accused of being negative. I thought we was going to lose tonight. So there's me looking on the bright side, praying that Issa hits a bit of form and fulfills the potential rather than the actual what he is at the moment. I've got my doubts as well. It's the hope that kills us, isn't it? As for the reaching the heights of Alvin Martin, we've all watched how good he was. We'll never see someone as good as him again, I don't think. It's going to take a long while before someone comes through like that.
This is my point, Rio. As supporters, we should be demanding we see that standard. Demanding the chairman says to the manager and the scouting network, such as it is, find me a player of that caliber. Find me a player who, if he makes one mistake every 3 seasons, then he's in a poor run of form. Because in this league, if you want to be serious about challenging in the top half, you need players that won't make mistakes in the middle of your back line. And you see the money that Manchester City splashed on John Stones. As soon as he had a bad run of form, he was out of that team because he wasn't good enough to stay in it. And until he started reproving himself that he could do it, Guardiola wasn't picking him. I'm afraid maybe as supporters, we give too many of our players a free pass. And it's a fine line between slagging them off, i.e. not supporting them, and accepting below par performances. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't accept below par performances. Sheffield United tonight, and they had 2, 3 free headers 8 yards from goal. Shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening.
Okay. Gnome, did you want to comment on that briefly before we move on?
Just wanted to use a phrase that Pinky used earlier on there for the benefit of younger viewers. I would point out that whatever the rights and wrongs of Pinky's and Rio's arguments, I really can't advocate people going and having KFC for breakfast every morning. It's simply not healthy enough for you.
And there, there's the most salient point of the evening, folks.
Just as a health point there, sort of thing. So,
Thank you for that. And we of course do take your health on this channel most seriously, folks. So cut out the KFC for breakfast and stick with the avocado. Rio's doing the right thing there. We're going to wrap up.
Last night's curry.
Yes, yeah. Oh gosh, made me feel hungry now. We are going to wrap up.
Do you think there'd be a company that actually markets? There should be a company that actually markets last night's curries to deliver it to you for breakfast, so you don't have to go and order it the night before and leave it.
Oh, God. Well, I'd imagine there's plenty of Chinese takeaways that would be quite happy to do that, or Indians, but anyway, that's just my experience locally.
I think this COVID judge gets to my brain now. So,
well, we're going to wrap up fairly shortly, so we won't be demanding too much more of you. No, we know you're struggling a bit under the heavy drugs you've consumed there today, and we'll wrap up fairly quick. But anyway, before we do that, I want to take a look ahead to our next match and what a game this could be. We are pretty much now, I think, back to 1 game a week after this recent flurry of games every 3 or 4 days. And it is therefore another 6 days before we play again. And of course, it's the big one this Sunday afternoon at the London Olympic Stadium once again. The corresponding fixture earlier this season finished 3-3 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And it's the Spurs who come to Stratford once again next weekend looking for 3 points. It's a really enticing prospect, this one. Pinky, you looking forward to the game? And what are you thinking? I mean, is this one of those where it's a test of this will show just how good West Ham are now?
What I'm thinking is it's jolly fortunate for Jose Mourinho that Tottenham Hotspur are skin. Because, do you know what? We beat them next Sunday. By this time next week, were they not skin, he could be out of work and they could be looking for a manager. I mean, there's a lot of discontent over at the new White Hart Lane from, should we say, some of the more traditional supporters who aren't particularly enamoured with the football they're watching.
Yeah.
They're certainly not very happy with some of the results, and they do seem to be getting this reputation of a team that no cane, no points. And Mourinho, I think there's a little bit of a battle there between him and the chairman, whereby the chairman has probably made it perfectly clear there isn't all that much money to spend. Mourinho perhaps going along with the I've heard all that from every other chairman routine, but actually we all know at the Lane who's in charge. There is no ambiguity, and it isn't the man in the dugout, it's the man in the boardroom. And I think we've got a great opportunity to put an absolute dagger through the heart of Tottenham Hotspur next week. I think their season is pretty much over as it is, but we can kill it stone dead with a win next week. And I think, you know what, could be two reasonably evenly matched teams. Both have got injury issues. Both have got their problems, but one team is full of confidence at the minute and the other team is full of dread. They don't look like they want to be on the pitch. And so, yeah, looking forward to it. I don't think it'll be a walkover for us or them. I think it'll be a close fought game, probably not a classic of the genre, but just imagine 3 points there, and we are pretty certain to finish above Tottenham this season. And if you could say how good a job has David Moyes done, that's a heck of a turnaround, isn't it? So yeah, looking forward to that one.
Okay, good stuff. Gnome, Tottenham 4 defeats in their last 5 Premier League games. I mean, could there be a better time to play them than right now?
I wasn't aware of that because I don't really I've not really been following them other than when they lose, I just sort of smile and then I've forgotten it 20 minutes later. But don't know. You've got to play them. You've got to play them whenever. Excuse me. I just think that I'm looking forward to it, just really because they're fans who, bless them, aren't the sharpest tools in the book, and it's they just make me laugh, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good time to play them from our point of view.
Yeah.
Just looking completely at us, because we're in a good role, and yeah, we're getting to that stage, and introducing football cliche 967. It's a mark of a decent side that when they're not playing well, they still get a win. And we didn't play that great tonight, but we still got a win, 3-0. You know, okay, Sheffield United, but Spurs are a bit better than Sheffield United. But then I've played for teams that are a bit better than Sheffield United at the moment, so that's no great thing to be boastful of. So yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, whatever happens, it's just one of those things where, you know, whatever the result, we'll still end up laughing at them.
It's kind of funny actually, because I exposed my son to the. I'm sure you've all seen it. The Spurs fans in the park doing the you just got caned thing, and I don't think he stopped laughing since. And my son's only 12 years old, so. Yeah, it's and of course there's the 2 guys who were talking about Spurs being potential title candidates when we played them earlier in the season, of course, and it was 3-0, and then there's the sort of shocked into stunned silence by the end of it, and of course they were at it again at the last week against Everton, weren't they? Following their comeback, and they thought they were back.
What was the comment at the end of our game? I said, well, there's the title gone. Like, yeah. What, you really thought you were in with a shout of it? Really? No, come on. Yeah. Yeah. There's just so much to sort of be amused by. The fact that when they signed Bale on loan, it was, this is what we need to push forward for the title. And well, tell us how that went then. And
it's kind of ironic, really, when you think that you know that was their view of Bale, and at the same time we were kind of a little bit down in the dumps, I think, because we just signed Craig Dawson from Watford, and who's turned out to be the better player, most effective. Incredible, really, isn't it? But Rio, where we go into the game.
Funny old word.
Yeah, it's certainly is. Rio, we go into the game 6 points ahead of Tottenham. Could be 9 points clear of them by this time on Sunday. That'd be something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Before I carry on, did you buy that bleep machine? Because
well, I haven't, but I did. There was I had a reason to insert a bleep into. Now, when was it? What was the? It was Gnome. Gnome said something rather naughty the other night. It was the penalty. Of course, Mike Dean. How could I forget? Yes, it wasn't there. Well, I can't say the words, but let's just say it wouldn't have got you banned from KUMB, but it was enough to perhaps annoy YouTube's.
Okay, I'll be a bit more composed and thoughtful about my response now.
Shocked.
Of all the people on this thing, I'm the one who got bleeped somewhere.
I know. Check back and watch it. Yeah,
the one who swears least out of any of us.
I don't know about that. It's a terrible thing to say.
I mean, I really can't think of what I might have said. That
no, well, it was a 4-letter word, but not one of the worst ones. Let's leave it at that. Rio, you feel your boots, my friend.
Yeah, no, I've got to compose myself and not overstep the mark now. Now we have it. It's not in play. Yeah, well, we all know what it means to them, don't we?
Nothing. It doesn't mean anything to them. Come on, Rio, you know this by now.
We all know whose cup final it really is. We all know when the chips are down and things don't go quite well in these particular fixtures, which fans man up and face up on social media and discuss the game, be theoretical and realistic about what happened in the game. We know those who disappear for weeks on end, never to be seen again. The reason I hate Tottenham, right? It's nothing to do with football. It's the delusions of grandeur. It's the whole attitude. It's the whole superiority complex, which they've got no right to have. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday. If we lose, I'll be magnanimous about it as I always am. But if we win, given the comments made by certain factions of their support earlier in the season, I think I'll be coming up with both barrels. I might even be getting someone else's barrels and firing them at them as well. I detest that lot. I absolutely detest that lot. I've said before, I hate every other club in the country. Sometimes I hate our own, my own. These lot have got a little special place in the blackest part of my heart, which will never, ever disappear. And I just really hope we can turn the screw, We know what Levy's tried to build over the last few years, and to be fair, when they are on form of firing, they've got some marvellous players. They play marvellous football. I hate to say it, but sometimes they can be an absolute joy to watch, which just makes the come down and the fallout and the slide into obscurity even more the sweeter. So, come on, West Ham. Come on now, little tight-knit group of misfits, free transfers, cast-offs and wannabes. Just do it for us, please. Just this once.
I think you've been very harsh on Tottenham, Rio. I mean, show some respect. That they won the league as recently as 60 years ago. Greatness doesn't just fade, 60 years since they won the league, and you know what? They still go on about it, and Rio is bob on. It's delusions of grandeur. Honestly, 30 years since they won the FA Cup, and season after season you hear, oh, there's a one in the year, we're going to win. Oh, shut up. I enjoy a win against them. And I personally haven't got a particular axe to grind with them other than, all fur coat and no knickers, really, aren't they? I mean, they're nothing like the club they think they are. It's a long time since they were ever truly a so-called big club. And I don't see them getting back there anytime soon, because I think that stadium that they have spent £1 billion on, that currently sits empty every Saturday afternoon, and for which they've had to go to the government and borrow in excess of £100 million, is going to prove to be a bit of a millstone around their neck in years to come. And I think they've not only been a selling club in recent years, I think they're going to be a super selling club. And dare I say it, the bad news for West Ham United is they might be sniffing around some of the bargain basement players that we're normally linked with. I think the glory days, which are many years ago for Tottenham, are many years from ever happening again. I think they missed the boat a couple of seasons ago, and I think the money is running out there now, quite dramatically. Just a view.
Okay, for my input, I just enjoy beating Tottenham because it's always produces my favourite opposition view of the year, because you just know you're going to get some fantastic comments from their supporters every time that West Ham beat them. But there you go. We shall see. That is, of course, coming up this weekend on Sunday. West Ham United in 4th place as things stand in the Premier League against Tottenham in 9th place in the Premier League as things stand. Could be 5th. Yeah, we'll forget the live league table because it doesn't benefit us right now. But yeah, probably going to be 5th by the end of the night. But anyway, 4th as things stand. That's due to a fantastic 3-0 win against Sheffield United, another team we enjoy beating. Goals coming from Declan Rice in the 41st minute, from Issa Diop in the 58th minute, and then Ryan Fredericks, the substitute, who was on the pitch for barely 3 minutes, added a little bit of icing to the cake with a 3rd goal for the Hammers to make the scoreline look just as comprehensive as it probably was, actually, in terms of how the game went. But that is it from myself and the team tonight. The Blades have been firmly put to the sword. Chris Wilder said they were the architects of their own downfall. Either way, the Hammers are absolutely roaring and flying at the top of the Premier League. As we said, 42 points from 24 games up into 4th. My thanks to the Pink Palermo, to Rio and to Gnome. As always, fantastic fun tonight. Really enjoyed the stream. And thank you, of course, as always, to those of you who joined us throughout the evening. Thank you for your comments. We've enjoyed reading them and getting you involved. That's it. That's it for tonight, my friends. We are back, as I said, Sunday, West Ham United against Tottenham, the next big London derby. And we hope by the end of the night, it's us singing, "You just got caned." We'll see. We'll see what happens. Until then, come on, you irons.
On your irons.
We did it to Yorkshire.